Hey everyone! Today is the first day in over a week that hasn't been either torrentially raining or it's been so hot that I just feel like I'm turning to something super crispy the second I step out the door. In fact, it's been a mix of over 30s, sort of late, almost heading on towards 40 degrees, and ridiculously windy, gross weather that it's been ripping through the last week. But before it all hit, I actually started this project and I gave myself a little bit of heat stroke getting it done that first day, and then I've come back in the last few days and actually finished it off a little bit at a time in between the terrible weather. So I wanted to show you our new flower bed situation. I might just take you back to the start of the week when all this started happening, and I'll meet you back here at the end. Hello! Today's project is we're going to be making some new flower beds out in the paddock. A bit of a flower farm style setup. So I'll take you over and show you what that looks like. So I've just got some plastic set up here at the moment. That's where we're going to get a delivery of mulch and compost and some chip bark to go in pathways. And then over behind it I've set out for a couple of beds. They're just 5 meters long by 1 meter wide, and then I've got a 1 meter break down the middle of them, which is probably a little bit excessive, but better than not enough space in between. So we'll fill up this side and then have a pathway going around it and through the middle of it as well. It's so windy and hot this morning. The temperature just went up to the late 30s, but this morning I've been able to achieve a little bit. We got the soil and the mulch delivered, the compost and the mulch delivered. I've made a start on the bed, so I'll show you that, but I've had to tap out because I just about overheated, so that's probably enough for today. It's meant to rain later on this afternoon, so hopefully it might cool down a little bit before then and I can get a little bit more done, but we'll see.
Were 2 for a penny, but they've all gone out the window of this car. And when I feel the wind on my face, all that ever was is a race. Today and tomorrow.
So after the intense heat, we've been smashed by a whole bunch of rain, and looking at the rain gauge, we're looking at something like a 44 mil, which is ridiculous. Have a look at this. This is from yesterday. It's filled up that from yesterday afternoon, and there's the rain gauge there, which is crazy. The wind has been nuts. So we've got our first flowers into the bed, which are the sunflowers. We've got the ones we saved from last year, which are just the large sunflowers up on this side, and then on the other side we've got the teddy bear sunflowers. Now we've tried growing sunflowers quite a few times already this season. We're halfway through December now just about, so we've had a couple of months of giving it a crack, and every time they start coming up in other beds they've just been eaten alive and we've lost them all. So we've decided this time to put them in a bunch of trays and then replant them out into the garden. So that's what's happened here. They've copped the really bad heat like the day after they got planted, so they started to look like they were struggling a little bit, but they seem to have come back to life again after having a couple of really solid rains. Now we know that generally it's better to plant them in situ rather than planting them in seedling trays and transporting them out, but we just had no luck and we just had to give it a crack, so hopefully it works out and it looks good so far. Now in addition we've got the netting going over the top. Now this isn't actually bird netting, it's just there so when the flowers grow up through they actually have a bit of stability. I'll show you the other flowers that we've been growing recently, and they're a really good example of why we need the netting on an area that we actually want to be relying on to make a little bit of money. We're putting our farm stand out soon, and we're hoping at some point this is the start of a bit of a flower farm situation we've got going on here. So it's important to us that when things grow, we don't get them destroyed by freak winds and things that come through. And if you see our other area that we had flowers growing previously, you'll see why the netting is a really good stability option that we require. These are actually looking a lot better than what they were, but you can see they're all on such a lean at the moment, where they were all coming up nice and vertical prior to this, because the wind really smashed them over. I'd say they've improved probably about 50% on the lean that they had before, so hopefully there'll be some improvement. But yeah, the support structures we're putting in the new one should stop that from being an issue going forward. So far we've got the 2 beds here, and we've got the chip bark around the outsides to walk on to sort of help with the weed situation. We've actually got cardboard down under the chip bark, so hopefully that'll stop weeds growing into the bed areas. But you know, the weeds around here just get everywhere, so I'm sure whatever we do, we're going to be ripping them out at some point, but hopefully this will slow it down. We haven't planted out the rest yet. The sunflowers are the first babies to go in, so we've been waiting for the weather to not be so ridiculous, so I think this weekend we're probably going to start putting a whole bunch more seeds in. I came through the orchard only a couple of days ago and picked up all of the fruit that was on the ground, but the winds have just knocked off hundreds of them. So that's going to be really annoying before I go through and do another mow of the area, because the grass is obviously getting ridiculously long in these parts because of the heat and the rain. But yeah, that's going to be a fun little job. Feels like it's been a bit of a waste of a lot of apricots, but plenty to go on the tree still. We've got a lot of apricot and peach seedlings here that we've potted up ready to go out into the stand when we build it. They're definitely taking a battering with the heat. It's especially the apricots. The peaches ones seem to be not struggling as much. But yeah, hopefully we'll see which ones survived and which ones didn't over the next couple of days. We've also had one casualty on the roof from the terrible winds. Poor fellow was propped so hard this time that his little stake has snapped in the wind. Pumpkin cat does whatever a pumpkin cat does.